All right, so we've completed the first and second exercise sections, being scales and melodic cells, and then the second one, the intervals. And the intervals were really important because they prepare you for the distance you're going to move in notes in the triad exercises. So if you've been doing the intervals, you will be able to you'll be able to memorize or perform the triads much more quickly. Okay, so you are here, and so we are at the root position triads, and we're going to show the 6 patterns of the notes played in rising ascending, rising descending, falling descending, and falling ascending. And I'll play them one version slowly, and then I'll play one a little quicker. All right, so here's the diagram that I use. I still use this every day because I can play much more quickly if I see these, and you can detect the patterns, so you can kind of see them visually, and then that will help you when you're trying to do these all these patterns. There's a lot of patterns, and it's a lot. But if you use these diagrams and just try to train yourself to read them, it's not hard. And I have another video where I explained, actually a couple of videos where I was explaining it, how to read these. So I urge you, if you haven't looked at those, please go back and look at those before you proceed. And so you can see we've got root position, first inversion, and second inversion rows here, right? So we are starting with the top row, root position triads, and we're going to do you can see the 6 patterns. You can see the one on the left is 1, 3, 5. And then the second one is, like the beige color, 1, 3, 5, and then the 1, 5, 3. All right, and then we're going to do, and those are the standard ascending triads. And then on the green ones, it's 5, 3, 1 and 5, 1, 3, and I call those the standard descending sequences. And then I start on the middle note. In the blue ones, I start in the middle note of the triad, and then I either go down to the note that's lower and back up to the top one, or I go up to the top one and then go back down. So that's why you can see 3, 1, 5 or 3, 5, 1. All right, and I kind of use the same strategy in all the different inversions. So, and we'll get to those later. But let's just focus on root position for now. Okay, so starting off, we're going to do exercises solely using the 1, 3, 5 pattern, and you can see that if it's hard to see this on your screen, this is the diagram. So you can see the R at the bottom is the root note, and then it goes up a third, an interval of a third, and then it goes up another interval of a third, and that's the 1, 3, 5 of each chord triad. All right, so here was the first exercise, root position triads, 1, 3, 5, and the first one we're going to do is rising ascending. And here's the reminder. Oh yeah, I'm going to show you here. So you can associate the diagram I just showed you. There's the 1, 3, 5, and at the bottom I show the scale degrees that we're playing. So, and you can see the first 3 are actually 1, 3, 5, because you're starting on the tonic. You're starting on the first note of the scale, okay? And then the subsequent one is 2, 4, 6, but that's still root up third, up third. It's still 1, 3, 5 for that chord. So the only time you're going to see the actual 1, 3, 5 on the sequences here is when you're starting on the tonic. Okay, there's root on the corresponding on the custom music notation. There's the root, and then we go up a third, and then you can see the interval of a third, and there's the note, that's the third, and then we go up one more, and that's another third, and then you're on the 5. So again, these refer to intervals. When we talk about chords, we talk about intervals. But at the bottom, I call these steps. These refer to steps down here. And really, I should have said maybe scale degrees moving up, because it's sometimes when you move up to the next note in a scale, it's a half a step, and so sometimes there's going to be half steps in here, but I'm really not paying attention to the actual distance between the notes because I'm just playing notes in the scale, right? And so I refer to these steps as how many moves. And let me say, so the intervals, as we said before, start counting on the beginning note. So if you're starting on the one, you start counting one at the root note, and then you count 2, 3 up to the third. So that's a third, and then you go from 3, 4, 5. That's another third. Okay. However, when I say steps, I'm saying when you're sitting at the root note on one, and you don't count. We're not going to count because we're not doing intervals. Don't count the note that you're on. Count the next one that you're going to. And so in this case, it goes from 1 to the 3. So that's 2, 3. Okay, so we're just gonna count it from the first one we move to after the note we're starting on. Okay, so if the first one is 1, then we're gonna count the steps. So you go 2, 3, and then you land on the 3. So that's kind of how I use the word steps in this regard. Don't confuse it with with actual like music theory, where they're counting half steps and whole steps and things like that. So hopefully it's not too confusing. I mean, I don't. To be honest, I'm not sure how many of you are going to pay attention. Maybe just initially to get a feel for for the patterns, but I think pretty soon you'll be either looking at the numbers, the scale degrees themselves, like the 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6, or you'll look at the notation. Because when I started playing, when I started doing this notation, I was still playing using my diagram, my triad diagram for a lot of my practice. I wasn't really using this nomenclature here, but then when I went through and had to like actually diagram all these using the presentation software, and then I had to go verify if they were everything was accurate, I really found myself being able to know what, like, the line, the note on the green line is the fifth, and any green line is the fifth, and it'll be either in the bottom octave, which the fifth that we're looking at here at the beginning of this scale is, or the middle octave, which is up there at the 7 below, or at the very top. You can see it's on the 11 below. So I really do think that this nomenclature can be helpful. However, in order to see those patterns as they actually are on the on the harmonica, when you're trying to practice and practice quickly, I think it's better to start using the triad diagram, and when you get those patterns set in your head, try to play them and use this nomenclature, because I think it's actually pretty helpful. All right, so let's move on and start playing this exercise. Oh yeah, and as I previously said, steps start counting after the beginning note, and I think I've explained that well enough. All right, so here we are, and this is root position 1, 3, 5, rising, ascending. This is the slow version. All right, and now we're going to play basically triplets. So it's 3, each triad, all 3 notes occurs within 1 beat. now we're going to do the same pattern, but we're doing rising descending. Here is the slow version. All right, and now the faster version. All right, so now we have completed the exercises for the 1-3-5 pattern, and now we're going to the 1-5-3, where we're starting at the root note, we go all the way up to the 5th, and we come back down to the 3rd. All right, here is the slow version. All right, and now the faster version. All right, now we're going to do rising descending. Here is the slow version. And now the faster version.